For the first part of this video, I'm going to show how to make the handbag and construct that, because for this type of zipper installation, you need to construct the bag completely first. What I did was, I have a store-bought pattern here that I'm kind of modifying it and using it for what I need. If you want to use this exact pattern, it is the Simplicity 2146. It's a purse pattern. I'm using pattern A. So I've already gone ahead and cut out my bag pieces. I have 2 pieces of denim for the outside. I've got these 2 pieces for the inside. And make sure I use the same strap. Let's see. I use the strap for C and D in this pattern. And what I did was I cut out 2 strap pieces because I'm going to do a folding method for the straps. I also cut out 2 pieces that match the inside of the bag, and these are going to be on both sides of the outside of the bag, and they're going to serve 2 purposes. They're decorative and they're going to hold the straps on, so we don't have a lot of bulky sewing to do with putting the straps right on the top edge. We're going to use this to do it. So the first thing that we would need to do is sew the straps together, get those ready to put on the bag. And the way I'm going to do that is it wants to come out. There's fusible interfacing on this. If you prefer to do it without, you can, but I think you need the interfacing to make the straps good and strong. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is fold over about 1 inch and press it down. And I like this method a lot better for making the straps because there's no turning to do, which can be difficult. The only thing is you're going to kind of have a seam in the center of the strap, and you can cover that with some decorative bias tape or rickrack or anything that you want to, and you know, cover that up. But I'm not going to because I'm using a dark thread to go with this, so it's really not going to show. Alright, and then I'm going to press down about, I guess about 1/2 inch on this side. Going all the way down the length of the strap. And then what I want to do is fold this over to just about the middle or a little over the middle of the, I don't know if you can see that because of the dark fabric, but I'm going to fold it over about the middle to where it leaves the strap about 1 inch wide. And I'm going to, ouch, burn myself with the iron. I'm going to pin all the way down so that this stays in place. Okay, so we got this all pinned down. We're going to go to the machine and try to stay right on the edge of that. I really should have used a lighter fabric so you could see what I was doing, but right where I have that fold here in the middle, I'm going to try to stay close to the edge of it, maybe 1/4 inch from the edge. So what I've done on my sewing machine is I've set the stitch length to 4, and I have loosened up the presser foot a little bit on these Husqvarna. I don't know about any other sewing machines because I've never had a sewing machine that's nice, but you can actually set the strength of the presser foot, and I've actually turned it down a little bit since this is a thick fabric. I don't want it to hold it too tight, so I've turned the pressure down a little bit, and I'm going to turn my speed down a little bit. And I always like to do that back stitch just about a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch in, just to lock in your stitches, because you don't want these things coming apart. I'll be honest, I see a lot of videos where I don't see them back stitch on certain things, and I'm going, no, because when I first started sewing, that was my mistake. And my things, when you put them in the wash, they would start to come apart. And my mom told me, well, you need to back stitch everything. Okay, we've got our straps on, and we're going to put those aside. Now what we need to do is put the, put these pieces on the front of the bag, both sides. And the way I'm going to figure out where I want them to go is I'm going to do a little measuring. And we can use the wrong side. It'll be kind of hard to see this without. I'm going to measure 2 inches down from the top. Just mark that. I'm going to do that on both sides of the front, the outer part of the bag. And that is it. This makes it really important to make sure you cut the top line of the bag even. And that's why I like to use ready-made patterns, and you can pretty much make them into anything you want them to be. You know, if you, which is the reason I bought that bag pattern, because I knew I wanted to make it into something else. I don't really care for the purse that it has on the front. Okay, the next thing we need to do is take one of our pieces, and I'm going to figure out where that line is on the back. And you're going to put the top part of this just at that line. And you're going to pin. Once we've got that side, we can. And this is what it is a piece that I folded. I cut out about 2.5 inches and folded in to make a decorative piece. Okay. Now I probably should have cut this when I made the bag last night. I cut this a little longer, maybe 1/2 inch longer total, so that, you know, if I was off a little bit, it would, but that's not a big deal right here, this piece, because it will get sewn over. Alright, I'm going to do both sides of this, and then I will go to the machine and show you what to do from there. Now I've pinned this little decorative piece here, and what I'm going to do, untangle my thread first. Alright, what I'm going to do is only sew the bottom part. I'm going to sew right here along the edge, and I'm going to leave this top part open so we can put the straps in there. What I'm using as my guide is this foot. It's just slightly off of the fabric, so that helps me know that I'm staying on course with the seam. that. We just did the bottom, we're leaving the top open. I'm going to do that with the other one, then I'll come back and show you how to put the straps on. Okay, we've got this casing or whatever you want to call it for the straps sewn on just the bottom so that we can flip this over and put the straps on. But the first thing we need to do is measure so that we can place the straps. So what I'm going to do is just line up these corners and just kind of, if you have the kind of fabric you can do this with, I'm going to score it with my fingernail. And I'm going to get my pencil out and I'm going to mark the middle right here. From the middle, I want these straps to be 6 inches apart. I think unless you are making a huge bag, you don't need them more than 6 inches apart. It's just going to be too far. So I'm putting the 3 in the middle here, bringing it down just enough so that I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to mark the 1 there and the 6 here. See, we're going to take the straps this way. See, I was thinking I was making a bag with the straps at the top. We're going to find that line and bring the strap almost all the way down, but not all the way. Maybe leave a 1/4 of an inch. And find that mark that you got and put the strap just on beside it, outside of it. The strap will be to this side of the mark that you made on the back. Okay, and I want to pin it down with a pin on each side so that we don't get any shifting. Like I said, it's a little tricky, but it can be done. The great thing about this, I think I said earlier, is that you don't have this bulk when you're sewing this together, which is it's really helpful when you do the strap this way. I like the look of it. Okay, I'm going to flip this down and take it over to the machine, and what I'm going to do is make a couple of stitches down here at the bottom to hold. I'm getting right down close to the end of the strap, but not at the very end, because you want this to hold really well. So, I'm going right over the strap, but I'm trying not to get off of the strap because it can cause a pucker. So you don't want to do that. Grab a hold of the other strap here and do the same thing. Now, if you're making a really large bag, I would recommend doing a box shape to close this up and an X in the middle, you know, just, I think it would be a stronger stitch. But since this bag isn't very big, I'm not going to do that with this one. I'm just going to do the line across. Now the next thing we're going to do is, well, I think I'll leave these pins in here for this part, but I'm going to fold this back up and sew across it So across this little casing here. I keep wanting to call it a casing, but that doesn't seem right. I'm just going to stay right on the edge. Okay, so there you see you have your straps on and you've got your casing piece closed up. Straps are on there good and tight. I'm going to go off camera and do the other side of the bag and I'll come back and show you the next steps. I've got the straps on the bag. Now we have to assemble both parts of the bag. This bag doesn't require any turning of any kind, so we're going to sew the outside and the lining of the bag together and close the gusset. The thing I like to do is pin everything together so that it stays neat. And I'm going to put my sewing machine, my stitch length on 3. Going to tighten that presser foot back up a little bit. And I start at the bottom by sewing across the bottom. Turn my speed down a little bit too. We're going to skip over this gusset right here and sew the sides up, and then we will close the gussets. Now, before you do this, if you wanted to add outer pockets or inside pockets, you would do that before you close up the lining and the outside of the bag. But I'm not going to add any pockets because I've done videos on that before, and you can look back at my channel to see the zipper pocket for the inside lining of a bag. But I'm just going to do the basic bag and put the zipper on, and that's all I'm doing for this video. You can see I've opened up my gusset and pinned it, and what I did was I opened up the seam on both sides so that it lays flat and it looks a lot neater that way. So I'm going to sew about a 1/2 inch seam allowance from the edge, and I'll do that with both sides, and then I will do the exact same thing with the lining. I'm going to sew the lining together and close the gussets, and then we'll come back and see what we're going to do after that. Very important to backstitch at this point. there's my gusset sewn together. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. I'm going to complete the lining, and then I'm going to come back and show you the last step for assembling the bag. I've got the outside and the inside of the bag assembled. Now what we're going to do here is put the two pieces together, and then I'm going to top stitch them or use a zigzag to hold them in. But first I'm going to, with wrong sides facing together, because there will be no turning in doing this bag, I'm going to line up the sides of the side seams on the bag. I'm going to open both of those seams up when I do this. Sorry, sometimes I forget that the camera is there, and I forget that you guys aren't seeing everything I'm doing. So I'm kind of pushing it down with my hands too to make sure that there's no wrinkles. And I've opened up the seams, and I'm going to pin both seams on this so that they don't fold over when we start to sew. And I'll go to the other side and do the same thing. This is such a fun bag to make. I will probably be making more of these to actually sell because they look so good. The one I made last night, I'm not even going to show it because it was a first try, but it was actually a very good first try. And I was quite pleased with it. And I said, well, it would appear that putting a zipper in is not as difficult as we may think. It takes some extra work. And if you want your bag to look neat and pretty, you have to really take time. Ouch, stuck myself. You know, take your time. Don't get in a rush. Alright, now I'm going to pull these sides and start pinning all around. Making sure that I tuck my hand in there every now and then and make sure there's no wrinkles or anything that will make it ugly. I like this method for the fact that there's no turning, so it looks so neat and professionally done. I have actually not even tried to do the zipper the way I'm going to do it with this bag, but I don't think it'll be a big issue. I think it'll be pretty easy to do. Okay, so I'm going to take this over to the machine, and I'm just going to sew all around the edge to bind the lining and the outside of the bag together. And that will be the last step, and then we will move on to the zipper. So we take the free arm off, and I like to start at the side seam. Make sure we don't sew over our straps. Alright, so there you have it. The two pieces of the bag sewn together, the lining and the outside. Now we're going to move on to creating the zipper for the bag. So let's get started on that. That will be in part 2 of this video, and I will provide a link down at the bottom of this video so that you can go straight to part 2.